Broadcasting House in New Englandville, this is Weekend News on the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation in Freetown. I am Cecilia Alisise. Your top stories tonight. All People's Congress Party says it rejects passing of Constitution Amendment Bill 2025. Ministries of Environment and Climate Change and Agriculture launch over $18 million Global Environment Facility project. And Sierra Leone Seed Certification Agency signs MOU with Central University. All these stories and more plus sport and entertainment are lined up in this edition of the news. Stay with us. The main opposition, All People's Congress Party, has rejected and condemned what it describes as a purported passage of the Constitution Amendment Bill 2025, describing the process as a legislative haste, constitution banditry, and legally void. The APC said it has taken the considered decision to immediately seek legal redress at the Supreme Court, challenging the ruling and demanding strict compliance with Section 108 of the Constitution. The said decision, according to the APC, is anchored in their duty to uphold the supremacy of the Constitution. Here's an excerpt of the APC stance on the Constitution Amendment Bill 2025.
On 20th April 2026, moral guarantors mediated an agreement to form a joint technical committee of lawyers to discuss the Constitution Amendment Bill 2025 amongst others. Consensus was reached on most issues, but two core matters, that is, the 55% presidential winning threshold and the proportional representation (PR) versus first past the post were remitted to Parliament for debate and vote. What followed on August 2026 was a blatant subversion of the Constitution and the will of the Sierra Leonean people. At the heart of this matter is a much more fundamental question, and that is, are we a nation governed by our Constitution, or can constitutional safeguards be set aside whenever they become inconvenient to those who temporarily exercise political power? For the APC, the answer is clear. The Constitution is supreme. No political party is above it. No government is above it. No speaker is above it. No parliament is above it. And certainly, the APC is not above it. Ladies and gentlemen, the Speaker of Parliament delivered an unconstitutional ruling that a constitutional amendment requires only a simple majority, directly contradicting Section 108 2B of the 1991 Constitution. We reject and condemn the purported passage of the Constitution Amendment Bill 2025 in its entirety. It is a legislative haste, constitutional banditry, and legally void.
The All People's Congress, APC, has taken the considered decision to challenge the validity of the constitutional amendment bill recently passed by Parliament. This matter will be pursued through the appropriate judicial channels. We wish to clarify our position for this action and outline our stance throughout the process. Our decision is anchored strictly in our duty to uphold the Constitution and the supremacy of law. We have identified clear legal grounds for this challenge and have accordingly instructed our legal team to take all necessary and appropriate steps to ensure that the Constitution is respected, defended, and enforced. We are not opposing change. We are insisting that change must follow the lawful path. The judiciary is the proper and constitutional forum to determine whether the bill satisfies the requisite legal thresholds, including compliance with mandatory procedures and substantive constitutional provisions.
Well, those were the Secretary General and Acting National Chairman of the APC expressing their party's stance on the Constitution Amendment Bill 2025. Away from that, the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change, in collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, has handed a little over $18 million Global Environment Facility Project under the Food Systems Resilience Project initiative to address the impact of climate change, protect biodiversity, and strengthen the resilience of rural communities across Sierra Leone. Abdul Mansari tells us more.
The National Stakeholders Meeting was held under the theme Strengthening Coordination and Accelerating Implementation of the GEF-AF3 project in Sierra Leone. It brought together government officials, development partners, environmental experts, agricultural stakeholders, and community representatives. The Minister of Environment and Climate Change, Jiro Abdullahi, said the project represented a collaborative effort between his ministry and the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security to address the effects of climate change on ecosystems and communities. Minister Abdullahi said the initiative would empower local communities to better manage their natural resources, improving agricultural practices and reducing pressure on forests. He added the project would also provide economic alternatives to support sustainable livelihoods and contribute to ecosystem restoration.
Behind this project to empower the communities to, be in the driver's seat of their own destiny, while at the same time to improve their capacity to be stewards of the natural assets that they have in their communities.
Deputy Minister of Agriculture and Food Security 1, Dr. Aissata Kamanda, said the project will focus on both climate change adaptation and mitigation. She noted that communities affected by environmental degradation and climate variability will benefit from activities such as reforestation, economic tree planting, and sustainable agricultural practices.
With these new ideas or this climate smart interventions and then also support on climate technologies that they're going to add into what we're doing, it will go a long way to advance and develop our food self-sufficiency drive, build our farmers, build resilience into what they're doing, and develop their mindset into agribusiness and entrepreneurship.
According to the senior environmental specialist at the World Bank, Dr. Ralph Bonner, the third additional financing for the FSRP project places significant emphasis on environmental sustainability within the agricultural sector. He stated that the project will promote practices such as organic farming and agroforestry with the aim of reducing pollution and limiting dependence on commercial fertilizers.
We also want to be able to help communities embark on a sustainable path to development. If, for example, the agroforestry activity succeeds, then 10, 15, 20 years down the line, we'll see people growing their own timber products. We'll see people growing their own fieldwood products, instead of going into forest and depleting the meager amount of forest that we have right now.
Stakeholders say the project will contribute to addressing food insecurity, habitat degradation, deforestation, and climate variability, while creating sustainable income opportunities for rural communities. SLBC News, Abdul Mansari reporting.
Now, the Executive Director, Sierra Leone Seed Certification Agency, has said the partnership with the Central University would afford students of the university the opportunity to acquire knowledge in seed science and research. Dr. Robert Chakanda made the assertion during the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding with the Central University in Sierra Leone and the Sierra Leone Seed Certification Agency at the agency's Seed Laboratory, Mile 91, to further strengthening the two institutions' partnership. Ibrahim Samoa reports.
The signing of the Memorandum of Understanding with the Central University, Mile 91, and the Sierra Leone Seed Certification Agency was to further strengthen partnership that will leverage on research for students and create opportunity to acquire knowledge in seed science using the Sierra Leone Seed Certification Agency's Seed Laboratory in Mile 91. Founder and Chancellor of Central University, Mile 91, Dr. Moksin Sise, said the signing of the MOU demonstrates the university's commitment to working closely with the Sierra Leone Seed Certification Agency to leverage on research, noting that research has shown that the agency has one of the most standardized laboratories in the sub-region with modern equipment.
It's important because Central University always look at try to implement programs that are not commonly implemented in this country. For example, we're implementing a seed science and crop improvement, which is quite not available in our educational curriculum here or system. The good news is we have the university, and they have the equipment, which is a multi-million dollars equipment, which by information, this is the best lab in sub-region. So we think it's important for us to come together and deliver these programs that otherwise will never have been able to happen in this country.
Executive Director, Sierra Leone State Certification Agency, Dr. Robert Chakanda, welcomed the initiative, noting the MOU was an opportunity to build on the capacity of the student in seed science, which he said seed is the bedrock for agriculture. He said the agency has been working with universities to have more seed scientists.
It's very important because students will be trained in seed science, and that is what, like I said in my opening statement, we lack the technical aspect of staffing of the persons, young people trained in seed. We don't have to go to other countries to bring seed science into Sierra Leone. We don't have to go to bring experts from other countries. We want to train our own homegrown seed specialists right here at Central University. SLESCA will provide the technical knowledge. SLESCA will provide the resources. We have the laboratory, and we have a capable staff to serve as the resource persons. And the students will have the opportunity as well to do their research at the laboratory and across the country, and also to gain knowledge from whatever is going on at the seed lab.
The Sierra Leone Seed Certification Agency's Seed Laboratory was built by government and commissioned by President Julius Maada Bio to undertake different seeds research and certification of high-quality seeds in the country. The event climaxed with a conducted tour to some of the facilities in the laboratory. Ibrahim Samura reports.
The Mano River Women Peace Network, MAWOPNET, in partnership with UN Women, has engaged stakeholders in a meeting focused on enhancing women's protection and inclusion in Sierra Leone's peace-building processes. The meeting, held at the ECSL on King Hammer Road in Freetown, brought together representatives from the Ministries of Information, Gender, Women's Organizations, and security agencies, as well as faith-based organizations. Aminata Fofana reports.
The meeting featured research findings on the challenges faced by cross-border women traders, including sexual exploitation, abuse, harassment, and intimidation. The findings also highlighted allegations of victimization involving some security personnel at border crossing points, particularly women who depend on cross-border trading for their livelihoods.
Preventing violence in communities, protecting women from violence, getting more women to participate in peacekeeping and other activities, and relief and recovery, getting women to be involved in the management of all of those activities. In my opinion, we see ourselves as champions of the Women, Peace and Security agenda.
Representatives from the Women's Forum Network and the 50/50 Women's Group stressed that the issue should not be viewed solely from the perspective of border security. They called for all stakeholders to come together to raise awareness and engage communities in addressing sexual harassment, intimidation, and other forms of abuse. They also raised concerns about the alleged harassment and attacks on women in cross-border areas by commercial motorbike riders. Participants called for stronger law enforcement, credible investigations, accountability, functional reporting channels and call centers, greater community engagement, and increased involvement of women in addressing cases affecting them. Religious leaders and the media were also urged to play a greater role in raising public awareness, promoting responsible reporting, and addressing misinformation and disinformation surrounding gender-based abuse. Stakeholders recommended stronger prevention, reporting, and referral mechanisms, as well as effective implementation of relevant laws and policies to protect women. The engagement forms part of ongoing efforts by MyWopeNet and UN Women to enhance women's protection, participation, and inclusion in peace building, while strengthening mechanisms for preventing and responding to sexual exploitation and abuse in Sierra Leone. They also called for greater collaboration among government institutions, security agencies, civil society organizations, community leaders, women's groups, religious leaders, and the media to create safer border environments where women can pursue their livelihoods without fear of abuse or exploitation.
The mangroves at Aberdeen Creek do more than line the shores. They protect homes from flooding, feed fish stocks, and keep the coastline stable. But as construction creeps into the Ramsar wetland site, environmental officials are warning that the building there could trigger disaster. This week, the National Protected Area Authority stepped up its continuing demolition exercise to reclaim the protected area. Joyan Dumbuya puts this report together.
Aberdeen Creek is a part of Sierra Leone River Estuary, an international recognized Ramsar site. Its wetlands and mangroves support communities whose livelihoods depend on fishing, and they act as a natural barrier against floods and coastal erosion. Environmental experts say unchecked building in the creek destroy those protections. Clearing mangrove remove the nursery for fish and crabs, increases the risk of flooding during heavy rains, and leave coastal communities more exposed to storm and surges and sea level rise. That risk was the focus as the National Protected Area Authority NPAA continued a demolition exercise at Aberdeen Creek this week. The operation, led by the NPAA Executive Director Sheikh Ahmed Tunis and the Executive Director Dwight Sharif, targeted structures and activities encroaching on the protected area. Personnel from Sierra Leone Police and the Republic of Sierra Leone Armed Forces provided support. Speaking to reporters on site, Director Tunis said the authorities' priority now was to stop further construction, restore mangroves, and identify areas that can realistically be rehabilitated. He noted that some severe damaged sites may be too costly to restore, but could instead be used for environmental education irrigation or other sustainable purposes.
I mean, the resources we are supposed to be using to plant more trees, to plant more mangroves, to protect more areas in Sierra Leone, we are using that resources now to demolish something that should have never been here. That's one effect. Two, my role is to protect the ecosystem, so the ecosystem in return can protect me. What is happening if this place remains like this? The effect, my kids, your kid, and everybody's kid, and ourselves will be affected. Future plan. Number one plan, stop the bleeding. Stop everybody from doing construction. Number two, restore the mangrove.
Community members say they support the effort if there is clarity. Stakeholder Abubakar Toure said residents were willing to help protect Aberdeen Creek through the trees and mangrove planting once clear boundaries are established.
As a community, we are not opposed to environmental protection, but want a formal agreement that allows residents, government agencies, and other stakeholders to work together to safeguard the ecosystem.
The NPPA says its continued intervention at the Aberdeen Creek is part of wider government efforts to preserve Sierra Leone's environmental sensitive sites from encroachment and activities that threaten their ecological value. For SLBC, Julian Dumbuya.
Now, stakeholders implementing the Sierra Leone Guinean Forest Child Project are being urged to strengthen coordination, collaboration, and integrated programming to ensure the effective management and conservation of Sierra Leone's critical forests and landscapes. The call was made during a partners coordination and planning workshop which brings together government institutions and other implementing partners to clarify roles, coordinate activities, and strengthen collective action in addressing biodiversity loss, climate change, land degradation, and pollution. Esther Nekamara tells us more.
The Sierra Leone Guinean Forest Child Project has entered its implementation phase following years of consultations, project design, and development. The project brought together 7 implementing partners working across different areas of environmental protection with the aim of promoting coordinated action in the management of Sierra Leone's critical forest landscapes. Chief Director EPA, Chakumak Kane said, the successful implementation will require deliberate and continuous communication and collaboration at both national and regional levels. He acknowledged that partners may have different perspectives during implementation, but emphasized that the common objectives should remain the protection of the environment, conservation of biodiversities, and improvement of the well-being of communities that depend on these landscapes.
Specifically for the child project, one of the things key that we are going to be doing is to go through the project, understand the intervention modalities, where the points of coordinations are, who is implementing what activity, and the general institutional coordination mechanism, which is critical as an inception to project implementation.
Stakeholders stressed the need for partners to coordinate closely, particularly on forest zoning, certification, and restoration. They emphasized that effective forest conservation requires collaboration among governments, conservation organizations, civil society, communities, and other stakeholders.
Despite all of the benefits we are gaining from the greater Angola landscape, as stated by Bob Stephen, there are still threats to it. So coming together, this kind of partnership to help protect it, we view it as a way to reinforce our mission, which is protecting the integrity of the Gola rainforest, and also to support forest edge communities who are the in regards of the forest.
So this project, based on what the main activities and objectives are, I see that there is a great deal of alignment with some of the requirements to build, strengthen capacity, governance, and also understanding a little bit more about the economy of biodiversity in that area. How can you make a compelling argument to national planners to let the forest be, because they're more profitable to the country standing than destroyed. And there's a lot of other things that this project creates possibilities for.
The project is therefore designed around an integrated programming approach, encouraging government institutions, civil society organizations, and other stakeholders to work together, share information, coordinate activities, and make collective decisions. For SLBC, Esther Nene Kamara reporting.
You're still watching Weekend News on the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation in Freetown. The rest of the news continues. The National Commission for Children has expressed concern over the seizure of nearly 2,000 NPSA results from 61 schools due to delays in submitting continuous assessment scores. In a press statement, the Commission was particularly dismayed at the reported negligence by the school authorities to punctually submit the continuous assessment scores from the affected schools, noting that the seizure has the potential to negatively impact the right to education of the affected children. The NCC strongly condemned the actions of these school authorities and called on them to strictly adhere to the grace period provided by the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education to swiftly enable the release of the result. However, the NCC commended the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education for its intervention and strongly recommended that penalties be imposed on defaulting schools. Away from that, the Sierra Leone Roads Authority, SLRA, shut down the old railway line bridge in Brookfields last month following public concerns that the old bridge has become a dangerous route. However, as the closure on July 30th continues without any visible work going on the bridge, motorists and residents are now raising concerns about the length of time the bridge has remained closed. Our own Francis Moiro went to the community and our report.
For commuters and residents who regularly use the railway line road, this bridge has been an important route connecting communities and facilitating the movement of people and vehicles. But the situation has changed since the 30th of July this year, when the facility was closed as a precautionary measure. The Sierra Leone Roads Authority has restricted vehicles from using the bridge because of concerns that the structure may pose a danger to road users. The closure means motorists are now forced to use alternative routes while pedestrians continue to pass through the area. Pedestrians and community members said they were concerned about the apparent lack of visible intervention since the closure. Residents said the authorities need to provide clear information about the condition of the bridge. They proposed intervention and when normal traffic could resume. The major concern now is not only the closure itself, but the uncertainty surrounding the next step for the community. However, the issue goes beyond the inconvenience caused by the closure. Residents said they want accountability, regular communication, and most importantly, a lasting solution to the problem. Soraya Badi said the closure of the bridge has caused transportation constraints, but Samuel Kamara said the move was timely.
I feel very bad because we literally take transport here, and now because of the bridge is very bad, we have to walk all the way down there to take transport, which is very difficult for us, most especially when the rain is coming. We find it very, very difficult. Just pray our president or whosoever is charged will just help to make the bridge, because we are finding it very, very difficult to come or to go to our shop for transport.
In as much as the decision has been taken, yes, they are expecting people to obey the laws when it comes to the blockade. But again, my my call to them is for them to be doing routine checks until they seem it fit to do some proper renovations or repairing on the bridge. Because ever since this bridge was blocked, we've seen people taking chances of flying through with their vehicles and motorbikes. Although yes, the community people around have been, are being very much proactive in ensuring that people abide by the rules that has to do with the bridge.
The Chief Engineer of Bridges and Ferries for SLRA, John Kamara, said the closure of the bridge was a necessary safety intervention.
The railway line bridge had been on our radar for quite a long time. We do inspect that bridge regularly because of its importance in our road network. And then at a certain point, we had realized that the bridge is no more safe for vehicle to ply on it, which is why it is being closed currently. It's not the concern that is being raised by people around, it's the concern that is being raised by all the experts that are monitoring the health condition of the bridge. And we've realized that the level of deterioration is quite significant. And then the deck can no longer bear additional load apart from its self-weight.
The Sierra Leone's Road Authority has assured the public that efforts were underway to restore the important infrastructure to a safe and serviceable condition. Motorists and pedestrians are urged to comply fully with the traffic control measures and use the designated alternative routes. For SLBC News.
And now, the outgoing Executive Director of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Andrew Jahai Kaikai, has said the destruction of 396 cartons of tramadol demonstrated the government's commitment to combating drug trafficking and protecting national security. He made this statement during the burning of the narcotic and pharmaceutical drug at Toku headquarters. Abdul Mansur witnessed the exercise and our report.
The burning exercise of 396 cartons of tramadol and pharmaceutical drugs, including 20 cartons of Poxa tablets, was the fourth time this year. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, the Sierra Leone Police, ONS, and Transnational Organized Crime Unit, Toku, have taken such move to destroy illegal and harmful substances. The head of Toku, Chief Superintendent of Police, Michael Laga, described the exercise as an important demonstration of transparency and accountability in the handling of destruction of confiscated narcotics. He said the coordinated operation reflects the government's determination to disrupt criminal networks involved in the trafficking of illicit drugs and other forms of transnational organized crime.
Drug trafficking remains one of the greatest threats to national security. It fuels organized crime, corruption, violence, money laundering, and destruction of countless young lives. As law enforcement officers and stakeholders, we remain resolute in disrupting criminal networks, bringing offenders to justice, and protecting our borders and communities.
Meanwhile, the outgoing Executive Director of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Andrew Jaya Kaikai, reaffirmed the government's commitment to fighting the illicit drug trade through enforcement, community engagement, and international cooperation.
To continue or are bent on this illicit drug trade, we'll go after you. We will not get tired. As Mr. Laga said earlier in his statement, it doesn't matter what the weather is like, under rain, under sun, we are there to fight. And we will continue to fight.
The public destruction exercise also provided authorities with an opportunity to reassure citizens that confiscated drugs are being handled transparently and in accordance with established procedures. Officials reiterated that the fight against drug trafficking requires sustained cooperation among national security institutions, communities, international partners, and the public. SLBC News, Abdul Mansari reporting.
The Turkish Cooperation and Coordination Agency, TICA, has handed over 10 brand new motorcycles to the Sierra Leone police. It was part of its efforts to enhance police mobility and strengthening security operations at border stations across Sierra Leone. Abdul Mansari again has more.
The initiative serves as a significant boost to the operation capacity of the Sierra Leone police. The Turkish ambassador to Sierra Leone, Yusuf Burak Rendi, expressed appreciation to the Inspector General of Police, William Fayaselu, for such an opportunity to cooperate with the security sector.
Been here with 10 motorcycles for the mobility of the Sierra Leonean police. And this is a great example of our willingness to cooperate with Sierra Leone as two equal sovereign nations between two amazing people.
Inspector General of Police William Fayaselu described the donation as timely, noting it had come at the time when the police were facing significant mobility challenges, particularly in border areas. He noted that effective policing requires officers to move quickly and respond to accidents, especially in remote communities and along the country's borders. IGP expressed appreciation to TICA and the Turkish government for their continued support to the Sierra Leone police. Deputy Superintendent of Police Mila Bangura said mobility remains crucial to effective policing, particularly in areas where officers have to cover different terrain.
You will all agree with me that, response time is very important. And so providing such a gift to the police will increase the ability for us to respond quickly to some of the difficulties our people may face. Assuming you receive a complaint and you are not mobile, it will tend to deter your response.
The initiative forms part of the broader cooperation between Sierra Leone and Turkey in the areas of security and capacity building. SLBC News, Abdul Mansari reporting.
Now, Amnesty International Sierra Leone has joined the celebration of the International Youth Day 2026. This time, a symposium was held with stakeholders and youth of the institution from across the various regions of Sierra Leone. The section director, Solomon Sogbandi, said an infringement of the right of one is an infringement on the rights of all. Dennis Fraser has more.
When we come together, we look at what they want to implement, we give you submission, we go present, we don't position paper.
The human rights perspective on the conversation on the celebration of International Youth Day was centered on the theme Different Contexts, Common Aspirations. Discussions were also centered on topics like mental health, climate justice and livelihoods, education and digital access, youth and human rights issues across the country.
As we celebrate International Youth Day, let us remember our context may be different, our environment risks may be different, but our aspirations are common. We want to live, we want to work, we want to be heard, we want to participate, we want a future worth looking forward to.
During the panel discussions, it came out strongly that human rights could not be separated from access to information, freedom of expression, and the use of technology, among others, which will place the young people as rights advocates, problem solvers, and leaders who will drive social change.
And I just want Amnesty International to give a close eye and also to include people that are disabled to be able to participate in all of their activities, because disability doesn't mean that they can't partake in short activities, and also the word disability has ability to it.
Are they discussing with the youth these consequences? How many honorable can say they discussed with their youth from Kenya before they came to argue on this constitution? Trust me, We must have up to 2 that will say yes, we did that. So how are we present here? And some of these presentations, some of these recommendations we give are not even had on the constitutional bill.
The section director Solomon Sugbandi said an infringement on the right of one is an infringement on the right of all. This was further reinforced by the chairman of the Disability Commission, who buttressed the point by calling for more inclusion for persons with disability and gender inclusivity.
Young people should lead efforts to build inclusive societies where women, girls, persons with disability, ethnic minority, migrants, refugees, LGBTQI plus communities are treated with dignity and respect.
Can a young person in Kabbalah, Kailaon, Kono, Pujo, Moyamba, or Buloko access the same opportunity as a young person in Freetown? This is where geography becomes an issue of equality. A judicial future cannot be built around assumption that every young person lives in an urban center with electricity.
Other speakers stressed the need for young people to identify and pursue human rights and dignity and call for collaborative actions in protecting the environment. SLBC, Dennis Fraser reporting.
The National Youth Commissioner has promised support to 8,000 Sierra Leonean youths with grants in 3 weeks' time to help them create and grow their businesses. As it stands, the Commission has supported about 4,000 youths out of 8,000. Suleiman Babature tells us more.
The Productive Social Safety Net and Youth Empowerment Project stands as a life-changing initiative.
A part of government employment strategy to achieve the Big 5 game changers is to create 500,000 jobs for citizens by 2030. To ensure such is achieved, the National Youth Commission was established to empower and cater for young people in the country. According to the National Youth Commissioner, Joseph Madalahai, the Commission is actively in pursuit of its mandates. Upon his appointment, he said they designed a baseline tool to capture staff expectations, performance enablers, and capacity needs, which later became their compass. He said 98% of his staff now report for work on time, and they have established 3 directorates. Joseph Madalahai said they were rehabilitating the Obasanjo Skills Training College, awarding TVET scholarship to people in rural communities, empowering youth with maritime skills, and extended partnership with IOM and Leon Rock, among others. The commissioner said they have supported about 4,000 youth out of 8,000 with grants and promised to complete the 8,000 target in 3 weeks' time.
These projects are not merely programs. They are engines of job creation, youth empowerment, and economic diversification. They open new pathways beyond traditional employment, ensuring our young people can thrive across diverse industries. 700 vessels. By law, every vessel carries 2 people. That is 1,400 automatic jobs.
A presentation was done on the Commission's strategic plan, which entails 5 thematic areas, including organizational and institutional development, youth employment and employability, youth civic engagement, governance, rule of law and technology, digital innovation, partnership, networking and revenue mobilization, and health, well-being and civic education.
We have expanded digital skills program nationwide. We have strengthened civic engagement activities. We have encouraged safe migration pathways. We have identified employment pathways that are already benefiting our youth. Distinguished guests, youth empowerment cannot be carried by the Commission alone. It requires collective strength.
Among their challenges are limited financial resources, increasing demand for youth employment opportunities, fragmented labor market information, and evolving development priorities. The Commission pledged to expand on youth employment, accelerate digital transformation, and consolidate institutional reforms. SLBC News, Suleiman Babature reporting.
Well, it's now time for our entertainment news.
This is the entertainment news with me, Esther Susanette Bassi. Coming up in today's edition, Miss World Sierra Leone 2026 Mariam hits first appearance. And Miss Sierra Leone 2025 shares letter of gratitude to fans and supporters. From a sparkling arrival to a dazzling smile and moves at rehearsals, Mariam Kene shines at the opening ceremony of the 73rd edition of Miss World 2026.
Say hello to Sierra Leone.
With the smiles and moves symbolizing the pride of representing her country. Through her face and zealous gestures, one could sense the confidence and excitement being on a global platform to fly the green, white and blue, showcasing Sierra Leone's rich heritage, culture and values. Capturing the minds of many, social media and other platforms have been flooded with videos and photos of Sierra Leone's pageant queen as she glows on the international stage. The pageant is on, and our queen definitely needs our support, comments, posts and votes. Zooming out of her imaginary palace as a young lady to face her dream, Lacheva Davis entered the world of pageantry with a queenly motive. As a princess determined, she has shown her beauty, resilience and courage by hitting stages and wearing crowns. From being Miss Freetown to Miss Sierra Leone to representing the country on supranational, Lacheva has finally returned home with a letter of gratitude to all those who supported her throughout her journey. So let's join our entertainment reporter Suleiman Babature for more.
After a brilliant performance at the Miss World 2025 in India, where she clashed to the top 8, Lacheva Davis went again for Miss Supranational 2026, where she also delivered an extraordinary show, reaching the final stage of the competition. She has returned home with pride and gratitude as she took to her social media handles to thank all those who played a part in her journey, from brands whose gowns and designer dresses she wore, to journalists who helped tell her story, bloggers who amplified her name, friends who defended her, family members that prayed for her, organizations that opened doors for her, mentors and supporters. Among them were Veronica, Unimac, Princess Esther, Tabitha, Paul Shebora, Pido, Mariama, Kadigums, Prezo Bari, Awa Ture, Dabo Fashion World, Miss Sierra Leone Organization, Miss Freetown Organization, Ray, Esmara, Bundu, Alhaji Lake, Salon Gossip, Buntu Blog, Osusu Media, IB Blog, Hawana Tukone, the models of Sierra Leone and the Director General of the SLBC. After a glittering experience in her pageant journey, Lacheva Davis disclosed her plans to personal growth, especially in her academics, to complete her master's degree, to continue honoring herself as Miss Sierra Leone, and to work on projects ahead.
Wow, great moves in the Sierra Leone's pageant industry. All the best to you ladies. Well, that's all we have time for in this edition of Entertainment News from the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation Television. I have been your presenter, Esther Susanette Bassi. Thanks for watching. Continue to stay glued for more updates.
Alright, many thanks to our entertainment desk for that update. Let's now find out the latest in sports.
Winning feels good in sports, and more importantly, when you have a team that is equal to the task. With that, I want to welcome you to the sporting update that keeps you in the know. And by the way, my name is Abdul Kabir. Now, the U18 beach volleyball team have been crowned champions of the CAVB Under 18 African Championship Youth Cup in Senegal. It was an interesting development for Team Sierra Leone, where we saw Sulaiman Bangoura, who emerged as one of the top players in that competition. And for Sierra Leone, they are celebrating a milestone that is worthy of celebration. Kudos to Coach Dida, who has been so industrious in terms of helping these young players to meet and exceed their aspirations in the game. For Team Sierra Leone, this is just the beginning. They will be going again to Senegal for the Youth Olympic Games later this year, and that will give them an upper hand to compete against some of the finest teams around the world. And now to another development, the Community Shield will take center stage on Sunday between Arsenal and Manchester City. Well, that will be an interesting competition as well to look forward to. But we sampled the views of fans who are passionate about English football in Sierra Leone.
English Premier League is almost upon us, and what's better way to start up the English Premier League than a clash between England's biggest sides? Premier League champions Arsenal will take on FA Cup winners Manchester City this Sunday in the Community Shield at the Principality Stadium in Cardiff. Who are the fans backing in this mouth-watering encounter? And what are their expectations towards the encounter? This is a free sound, so get their reaction and their expectation towards this mouth-watering clash.
I'm Joseph Kamara at the support Barcelona at Man City.
Okay. So Arsenal they play Man City this Sunday in the Community Shield. So who do you think is for win the match?
Obviously, look at Arsenal for get an edge over the game day. Based on one looking at the previous performance, and obviously they continue with coach Arteta. And while to see Man City they get a new coach Moesca, so like we really get for see how Moesca get for cope up with the Man City team. So but you can see Arsenal for get an edge over Man City in the final.
Usman. Supports Liverpool. So Manchester and Arsenal they play Man City in the Community Shield this Sunday. So who do you think second for win the match?
I see Arsenal for win. Team will get the present team will get as a champion, Premier League, and sitting a new coach will get maybe they will find it difficult for adapting the system. Based on that, they make analysis Arsenal and they likely win the shield.
Actually, if you say without thinking they win the match, you say Man City gets a better chance to win. Despite Arsenal back get a young percentage in terms of that day, but I see Man City as somebody will get for me, as the team will get for me.
Okay, so for the past 3 seasons, or let's say 4 seasons, Arsenal and Man City done the battle for win the league. Last season we say Arsenal winner. So you think that this match we're going to play on Sunday, Nyanga was set the trajectory of who for win the league come April?
No, I'm not going to say that because each and every team don't prepare them squad. And a new season, though, each season get your momentum. So it not necessarily mean say this match they determine whether they win the Premier League. Of course, me and Musa Jabi, the team manager for Nigeria and also a supporter for Chelsea.
Okay, so Arsenal will play Man City this Sunday in the Community Shield. So who that get for win the match?
Before analyzing that one properly, because even the past league we just don't compete, you see so many developments on Arsenal side. Because the mistakes there for the past 3 seasons, they probably don't win the league. But because of them going at the drawing board, put Pegani in place, that make them win this league this season. I believe say with that same energy, considering the new influx of players on the long can still maintain the same coach, I think they would have the better chance for win the Community Shield coming.
Well, that ends your update, and thank you so much for watching. See you next time.
Many thanks to our sports desk for that update, and that's how we round off this edition of the news in Freetown. Here's a recap of our top stories. The main opposition, All People's Congress Party, has rejected and condemned what it describes as a purported passage of the Constitution Amendment Bill 2025, describing the process as a legislative haste, constitutional banditry, and legally void. The Ministry of Environment and Climate Change, in collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, has launched a little over $18 million Global Environment Facility project under the Food Systems Resilience Project. The initiative will address the impacts of climate change, protect biodiversity, and strengthen the resilience of rural communities across Sierra Leone. And the Executive Director, Sierra Leone Seed Certification Agency, has said the partnership with the Central University would afford students of the university the opportunity to acquire knowledge in seed science and research. Dr. Robert Chakanda made the assertion during the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding with the Central University and the Sierra Leone Seed Certification Agency. And that's the end of the news from the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation in Freetown. Thanks for watching, and do continue to stay tuned to your public broadcaster, the SLBC. I am Cecilia Alice Cisse. Goodbye, and do enjoy the rest of your weekend.